Most hardcore. Some of them talk, but lacking in character. How can I relax when it's theft of innocence? The harmless are broken. Oh, what tragedy to meet death with the lost word unspoken. Hide it behind the foundations. Charity constructed house of euthanasia. Architects of house of cards remain hidden behind one noble cause. Extravagant facade masquerading as God. I don't buy it at all. I like the real thing raw. I tell the whole veil off. The lights on or off. I get mine either way. The stellar man in effect. I'll leave you free and breathless like true psychedelic acceptance. Worldview becomes transcendent. This midnight smoke is so high octane, paralyzing the presence. Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Tyranny. I am your host Conrad Rogas. Welcome to this show. It's episode 43. Today is Saturday, September 30th, 2023. It's a big episode we've got for you today. It has to do with policing in America. It has to do with what's going on in Philadelphia currently. I'll give a background on that. It's going to involve a shooting that happened, a police-involved shooting, protests, looting, stores closing, and many different aspects that I'll touch. But in order for me to do that, I have to go back to the original event that sparked this, what's going on in Philadelphia, what happened this week in Philadelphia. And that's the shooting of Eddie Irizarry, a 27-year-old man who was shot in the head by police. And in order for me to begin this video, I want to give my condolences. I'm very sorry to Eddie's family, his mom, his dad, his family, for the death that occurred, for the tragedy that occurred. There's not many more words I could find to say along those lines. So I just have to give my condolences and jump right into it, because I'm going to tell the truth in this episode. This is the most hardcore news show on earth, and this is definitely going to be a hardcore episode with many different things on top of each other. So let's go back to the shooting. Before we get to the shooting, what happened this week that makes this a story this week? Charges were dropped against Mark Dial, the police officer that killed Eddie Irizarry. So the charges were dropped this week on Tuesday, and then Tuesday night there was looting and rioting. And then Wednesday night there were store closings, and that was basically this week. That's Philadelphia. That's on top of all the chaos that goes on in Philadelphia on a day-to-day, right? So we've got that out of the way. Now let's go back to the shooting. The shooting occurred August 14th this year. So I'll just give a brief description because the video came out, right? So we didn't know this until the video came out. The video has come out, and it basically shows Eddie Irizarry driving this vehicle, right? He's driving his car. He's going the wrong way down the street on a little side street. So he's driving fast. He's not driving recklessly as to endanger somebody's life, and he just parks the car. There are two cones. He knocks over one of the cones, and then he just parks the car. Then very quickly there's a police car approaching, right? Police car stops right next to him. They were clearly following him. They didn't have their lights on, so it wasn't a high-speed chase. They were just following him. And then the cop gets out of the car, goes around the car to where Eddie is sitting in the driver's seat. He puts the gun to his head. This happens very quickly. Shoots him in the head several times. And this is all shown in the video. There's the body cam video, and there's also a surveillance video that caught that. Eddie was in the car. The windows were up, so he was in the car. He wasn't driving the car at the cop or anything like that. He went right up to the driver's seat, and he shot him through the glass in the head several times. So that's what occurred. And before I even go any further with that, I want to ask, who should have that power? Who should have that power rightfully to run up to the driver's seat and just start shooting through the window? How is that justified? You know, and I also have to address people the middle Americans, many people who may be catching this video. There's so many people in this country who value freedom, and unfortunately that also means they support police. There are so many of these people, and it's just the truth. You're classic traditional American. You're freedom-loving American. Well, they have all these great qualities. I love these people. I'm an immigrant. I love Americans. I love like real American men. This is a great people, and the American culture is great. It's the best. That's why we're all here. But especially in these shootings, they often side with the police. It just happens this way. I'll go through some of the factors that make it that way. They side with the police, they side with the military, and that's just the way it goes, right? So why does it go that way? I'm just gonna cut right to the chase and just give it to you raw and hardcore. I want to talk first to the racist men, to the people who are watching this video who are racists, or are at least thinking racially, which is a large percentage of this population, Polish population and the American population, and I'm sure even the so-called minorities. That there's a lot of racism even in the races that are oppressed in this country, right? So let me talk to the racists. I gotta talk to the racists. All the people talking about blacks, talking about Mexicans, talking about Ukrainians. There's a lot of this going on right now, okay? When it comes down to it, racist men are just soft. You guys are just daddy's boys. People who are thinking racially, racially thinking men are daddy's boys. They never got their father's approval. That's what happened. That's what made you that way. This is actually an archetype, right? The father is archetypally associated with the seed. The seed, like the DNA. The seed line is always thought of as the father's line, right? That's why when two people get married, they take the father's name, and it's the father's lineage always, right? The father is always associated with the seed, and the mom is always associated with the soil, right? The seed and the soil that makes up the plant, the flower that you are, right? Those are just the archetypes. They've always been there. So what I'm getting at is that this racial obsession in this country, that's been intensifying, but it's really always been here. It's just been under the surface. This country is obsessed with race, and really the whole world's obsessed with race. But this country especially is because we have everyone here. We have different races living together. They're not segregated in a medieval way like the other parts of the world are. In the other parts of the world, there really is a high level, or to a high degree, it is culturally and racially segregated. Not here in America. Here we've got everybody here, and you're supposed to be able to live your life based on meritocracy, right? Based on free will. But the racial obsession is here, as we could see, and racial obsession is because of daddy issues, and that's all it comes down to. Racial obsession is daddy issues, and sexual obsession is mommy issues. So all the dudes that are having problems with women, or they're hitting their women, or they can't get a woman, or all these different things, different obsessions, people who just can't help but have toxic relationships. This is all mommy issues, right? And this creates another example of that are people who go way into religious asceticism, the people who deny the female part of society in general. They just deny the woman completely, and they go in to be religious, and they go pray. That's also sexual obsession. Throwing away sex is obsession, right? It's obsession. You're going in the other direction completely, and that's also mommy issues, right? So we have daddy issues and mommy issues in society, and that's you guys with daddy issues who are the racists and who see somebody get shot in the head, and you're automatically trying to justify how he deserved it, because you're thinking all these things about the other races. I hear it all the time. You're thinking about how they are, how the other races act. Well, you may see some of the problems, some of the issues with other races correctly, and let's be honest, there's a lot of problems. Name any demographic of people, and you'll have plenty of proof to back up your stereotypes. That's the truth. So you may see these things correctly, but they never see their own. You guys don't see the problems in your own race. I see the problems in mine. I know it's not a race, but my ethnicity, the Polish people, I see the problems. Most Polish white men are garbage and trash, and that's the way it is. And you know what? They'll be the first to tell you. Just ask them. They'll tell you all about how bad their neighbor is, why he got that kind of a car, how much he lies or he cheats. They'll tell you all about how bad their neighbor is, or the guy down the block, what he did, how much of a piece of shit that guy is. So they'll all tell you. And most of my own people are garbage, and this is facts. So, and the reason I mention this is because when you see this officer, we see this dude, Mark Dial, run up to the driver's seat of the car and shoot him. You could even see it in his pictures. I'll put one of his pictures up. You could see what type of a guy this is. This is this unhinged, statist, authoritarian, racist daddy's boy. That's who this is. That's who this piece of trash is, right? That's why he did that. Now, let me move on from that, because now compare that or contrast it with another story that came out, or another video that came out really, is this video with this 20-year-old woman getting arrested because she had some fake IDs. Her own picture, her own fake ID. She's 20, you know, so you have your fake ID to get over the legal age of 21. And really the only reason this got any attention whatsoever is because she's attractive, right? So otherwise this wouldn't be a story. But she actually got charged with a felony and got arrested, handcuffed, taken to jail for those fake IDs and a weed pen, right? So, and she was the cops that arrested her were two women actually. So this young man, 27 years old, shot in the head like a complete animal. That happened. Now over here you've got a 20-year-old girl getting arrested. They dropped the charges after 75 hours community service, but that happened. They acted very professionally, these cops. They didn't you know, mishandle her or hurt her. They didn't do any physical violence to her. They violated her rights, but they didn't do anything like that. But it's the same trash, right? It's the same trash. It demonstrates the problem. Even these two women handling her gently, giving her a felony. It's two sides of the same coin, the same corrupt coin, the beast of a concept that is policing. So I bring that up to say, what's the crime here? What's the justification here? Putting aside getting shot in the head and setting that aside, what's the crime with fake IDs? Somebody's got to explain that to me. Like, this is worth a felony? We accept this? Where's the crime really with fake IDs? Well, there is a crime happening in that video, and the whole crime is that you need permission and government approval to live, because that's what an ID is. Us having an ID and a driver's license is a total violation of our humanity and dignity, because it's a slave's name tag. Why do we need approval to live? What is the big deal with IDs? And the government thinks they're such a god that if you make your own, if you put your picture on something that resembles an identification document, they'll actually put you in a cage. They'll throw you in a cage and they'll make you pay money to get out if you're lucky. Why do you need permission to live? What kind of a world do we live in? Do you have to be processed like, you know, like an object, like a package? Do you have to be processed and documented at birth? Right? Can you have, like, if you wanted to have a child, could you just have a child be born and live there? Or is government such a god that it'll stop the processes of nature, and they'll say, no, you can't have a birth naturally. They'll actually have to go there and process the baby and fingerprint the baby and give the baby an ID. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but this is essentially what they do, and they do worse. So you talk about all the I'm not really going to go too deeply into that, but I wanted to mention natural birth, because let's go to the origins, right? Let's go to the origin. Why do they think they own us? Why does the system think they own us? Why do you need an ID to drive? I know that I'm not the first person to come up with this. This conversation is old now, because people have kind of accepted that, okay, yeah, maybe they just kind of let it go. Most people think, yeah, okay, but we need driver's licenses or whatever. I won't waste time to put other people's justifications in my mouth, but I did want to mention that story and bring those two stories up. And you know what? I'm thinking about using that picture of that woman, because it attracted 2 million views to that video, and maybe this is the last thing we got for men. At least there's a reason why men are attracted, right, to a young woman, and maybe that's the last thing we got left to free ourselves in this world, because we're losing everything else. Men are so soft in this world, so maybe this will be the last thing to go. So maybe I'll just clickbait people and put that as the thumbnail, and maybe that primal male instinct, that's the point of the primal male instinct, right? For men to go outside of themselves actually, and actually look for something, right? So go look for something, and maybe you'll learn something, right? That's the idea behind it. Now, next thing, the cops changed their story. They lied, because originally they said that Eddie Irizarry, he had a knife and he lunged at the cops. He said that they were chasing him, they were trying to pull him over, he was running from them, and then he jumped out with a knife and lunged at the cops. And this is the same old story, and they had to change it because they must not have had the video, because they straight up lied. The police initially launched a fake narrative, right? And it was forced to change after the video came out. And this is another instance that proves that knowledge changes tyranny. Knowledge, documenting things, talking about things, using your voice, okay, showing people things. Otherwise, they could have gone with the fake narrative and we would not have proven it false. Now we know it's false, and they lied. So I cut this from an article. I'll read from it. At the scene of the shooting Monday, police first said Irizarry emerged from his car after a traffic stop with a knife in his hand and lunged at police before an officer shot him multiple times, killing him. Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw said at a news conference Wednesday morning that the initial information shared was generated internally, and that officials are backtracking to find out how the details came together. She said they did not learn of the inaccuracies until they reviewed the officer's body camera footage. So she used the words generated internally when they asked her, well, why did they release this statement saying that he lunged at them when he obviously didn't? And she said that she doesn't know, it was generated internally. Well, generated internally means lying. That's what that means when she says it was generated internally. It means they were lying about it, and this is standard procedure, and they had to change it because the video came out. So there's that. That's 2 days afterwards they had to change the story. Before the people even saw the video, it was clear that the video was out and it was going to come out. So that's how it works. They'll change, they'll wait, and they'll try to soften the blow. So immediately after this happens, you had protests, peaceful protests. So now I'm going to move on from the shooting, from policing, and talk about the protests. I'm going to talk about different aspects of what's going on in society today. So I'm going to be talking about protests. Now, whatever I say about protests, first I have to say, obviously I don't mean the mother. Obviously I'm not saying that, the family, his community shouldn't be, protesting. But I have to speak critically about protesting in general and these protests. And here's where I'm coming from. It's always, we demand. I saw a sign that says, we demand. We need justice. We want change. All this we need, we want, we need. Well, the people who run this world, the people who pay the police, who set up the system of policing, who set up the systems of government and reap the benefits of that and exploit us, when they see the word we on a poster, they say, we got them. They say, we got him, we got him, we got a sucker. No, there's no point in having a sign that says we need or we demand, because that will not get you what you want. The sign should say, I know it doesn't make sense to put this on a sign. You wouldn't put it on a sign, but metaphorically, the sign should say, I will. Not we need, we demand. The sign's supposed to say, I will. As in, I will not pay taxes until there's change. Or I will not cooperate, right? I will not go work here. Or I will not vote. I will not do the census. I will not follow this law until this and this happens. I will is real protesting. Anytime they say we, anytime they see we, they see it as a public relations type of thing, a public relations conflict or problem. So just like a corporation, when they have a problem and the people, metaphorically speaking, say we demand, or they have a problem with Bud Light, or they don't like the way this company did something like this, or they don't like what they showed. Well, the solution is always rebranding. They'll just run an ad campaign. They'll just present themselves differently and keep selling you the same shit, but they'll just rebrand it. So when you're holding signs up that say we demand, we need change, you're just asking them to lie to you, to bullshit you, and rebrand themselves, because you're going to keep buying their shit, aren't you? You're going to keep buying the bullshit that the society feeds you, because you're leeching off the system too. You're stuck in the system too, right? So, and who I'm talking to is people who still haven't figured out that this whole system is corrupt, and we're way past the scope of civil rights. You should have seen by now that all of this stuff about police reform and government reform, the system cannot be reformed. The system has to be abolished, right? I'm an anarchist, in case you guys forgot. So the solution, they will present the solution of rebranding, and that's a solution to a corporate problem, not a human one. We have a human problem. We don't have a corporate problem. So we don't need we demand. We need I will, because they'll be scared of that and they'll have to change. And if you want to reform, that's how you reform. You reform by standing immovably and forcing that system to adjust to your immovability, your relentlessness. But I saw we demand, and I saw people, Eddie Irizarry was Puerto Rican. I saw the Puerto Rican flags, and it's sad because that flag is a symbol of subservience, as all modern flags are. All flags are either symbols of subservience, which means slavery. They're either symbols of slavery or they're symbols of rebellion. That's the only two things that a flag can symbolize. So flags that symbolize rebellion is the Gadsden flag, right? Don't tread on me, or the Haitian Revolution flag with the blue and the red, and in French they have Liberté or la mort, liberty or death. I'm considering putting that flag behind me like this. I need to get around to doing that. That'll be the new backdrop of the show. So flags can be used as symbols of rebellion, but any national flag is a symbol of slavery. It's a symbol of your subservience to that country. Because who owns that symbol? That country, that government that puts out those police officers to shoot your sons in the head, right? And arrest your daughters, right? And throw them in a cage. Okay? So what is real patriotism? What is this pride? And I love Puerto Rican people. I honestly love the spirit of Puerto Ricans, as with other races as well, but we're speaking about Eddie. I love it. I love the flavor. I love the style. I love the energy, right? But what is this national pride? What is this orgullo, right? What is this pride? This loyalty to your country and your motherland or your fatherland. What if they vote for somebody, they vote in the next Adolf Hitler or Fidel Castro, and they start the next Holocaust? Are you still going to have pride in them? Are you still going to fly your flag? Are you still going to fly the Puerto Rican flag? Because they own that symbol. They will own that symbol, not us. What the symbol actually means is we. That flag means we. We the people. And we means being easily controlled. And you can control a group of people very easily just through subtle influence over time. If you have time, through subtle influence, you can control the people. That's why they're always likened to a herd of sheep. And that's what it is. You can easily influence them. You cannot easily influence an individual through subtle influence. For the most part. Usually you can't influence a person like that. But now you get a group of people, you get 1,000 people, you get 1,000,000 people. Now it's very simple, very easy to influence them. And back to the flag, the one star in the flag, in the Puerto Rican flag, unfortunately, it's in the blue, and it's the same exact symbol as the police wear. The Fraternal Order of Police has the same blue star, and they wear the same blue star. The police, and what is the star? The star is a symbol of sovereignty, right, or power, or freedom. But really, the star represents the human body. That's how we are shaped, right? We're shaped like the two legs, the two arms, and the head. So the star always represents the human body. So then it represents sovereignty, right? Having agency over yourself. And you can have the blue star or the red star, right? But the blue star is the father. It's the father figure. That's why very authoritarian societies, patriarchal societies, are fatherlands. Look at the Nazis, look at these other countries, strong, forceful countries that are going to go and take it. They're always the fatherland, right? And always and you see they're blue, right? They're often blue. But then you see the red star. The red star is what? All of the society, all of the people inside the country, providing for their needs. Everybody for each other. That's the red star. So that's what? Socialism. That's communism. That's Russia. That's China. That's the blue star and the red star. So when Puerto Ricans put up their flag at a protest and they got the blue star right there, they think they're protesting against police, but they actually have the symbol of the people that are oppressing them and killing them. That's what's going on, right? You got to know your enemy. So that'll conclude the background of this. Right now, let's go. We've caught up now to what happened this week. So what happened this week? Well, Tuesday, September 26th, the murder charges against the cop, Mark Dial, were dropped. So he was actually charged with murder, but his charges got dropped. And as a background to that, I want to read the Fraternal Order of Police's Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 5, their little statement. Right, that's one of the lodges in the Philadelphia area of the Fraternal Order of Police, which, by the way, they have the blue star. The Fraternal Order of Police is who represents the police, right? So they aid them in a legal fashion. It's a brotherhood, right? It's a fraternity. They're like, all cops are Masons. The Fraternal Order of Police is like a Masonic. They have a Grand Lodge. They have chapters. It's exactly like Masonry. So the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 5, which represents Philadelphia officers, released a statement on the charges against Dial. Officer Mark Dial has the full support of the Philadelphia Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 5. As our attorneys continue to gather all the facts surrounding this tragic incident, we ask the public to reserve judgment until all the evidence is presented during trial. Like any other individual facing allegations, Officer Dial is presumed innocent and looks forward to helping his attorneys prepare a vigorous defense against these serious criminal charges. And reading that, it becomes very apparent to me that this is a gang. The cops are a gang. I don't care if it's my family member. I don't care if it's my closest friend. I don't care if it's the closest person in the world to me. When I see the video of somebody shooting someone in the head who was not a threat at all, this cop was not acting in self-defense, right? He chased him, he shot him in the head in his car. And you should watch the video, you should see how it happened, because that will really convey things that I can't even convey in words. You could see the way he killed this man, right? He murdered this man. So they defend a guy like that just because it's one of them, just like a gang. I wouldn't do that. I don't presume somebody innocent. When I see the guy walk up to the window and shoot the man in the head, you presume him innocent for what? And this is the problem with the law, with the law code, the way it's written. And I'll go into that. On Tuesday, the judge dismissed the charges because there was not enough evidence was shown that a crime took place, meaning the crime of murder, which is the one they charged him with. So murder includes what? It includes premeditation, right? So they could find him innocent. They could drop the charges, even though he clearly murdered this man. He killed him. Now you start arguing about that versus murder. So what, are they going to charge him with second degree now, or third degree? Are they going to charge him with manslaughter, or what? Or is nothing going to happen? When they say there was not evidence to show that a crime took place, that means not enough money was paid for a particular lawyer's job on the case, because that's how it works with court. It's just about how much money you pay. That's why the intermediary of attorneys exists. I should know. I've been in court many times. Since I mentioned that, I'll mention this. Eddie Irizarry, 27 years old. I'm 27 years old. This could have been me. I ran from the police like he did. I've been in that car, and I've had a police point a gun at me through the car. This could have been me. Yeah, and you ask yourself. You look at me now. Did I deserve to get shot in the head like a damn animal? This guy, this cop, he deserves to be walking the streets? For what? Soft, daddy's boy. He needs to do a lot of repentance and redemption of his own soul. You need to earn your soul back, like I did. It's easy to steer a court case in a particular direction based on what lawyers are assigned to each party. And it's just like politics. It's about contributions. It's about swaying votes this way, the other way. It's just about how much money, what kind of lawyer, his name recognition will change the way the trial goes. It's not like Law and Order. There are all these games, and the system enforces that it's about who plays the game better, so that through that subtle influence, the side that's supposed to win is going to win. It's about jury selection, it's about appeals, all these things, right? And that's why there's such a thing as civil and criminal law, because only under this kind of a law can you have a guy shoot somebody in the head and not face responsibility for it. And through this, the ruler or ruling class remains the decision maker. This is why we have the law, the criminal or civil law, right? Because that's not an objective code of conduct. We need an objective code of conduct for justice, and there is that, and that's natural law. Justice has to be objective. But then you write the definition of murder in a particular way. Who's to say that is correct? Who's to say that penalty is congruent with what that definition states? Because that's not objective at all. If it's different in different municipalities or jurisdictions or different countries, then it's not objective, and then it's not justice. But we know why it's done this way. We know why the police never really get charged and go to jail. They are here and there, but that's another story. That's happening now. But in the grand scheme of things, 99%, cops never face responsibility for their actions. Why? Because they're the collectors of government. They're collecting for them. They're their money men. They're their gang members, yeah? So it's not in anybody's interest in the power structure in government it's not in their interest to do anything to reduce their power, meaning the police's power. Why would they? They collect the money that writes their checks. When they ticket you, when they tow your car, when they take your money, when they do civil asset forfeiture, when they do lawyer fees, bond fees, all these things, court fines, tickets, stickers, all of this, all these citations, permits, this is all collecting revenue for the government. So why would they reform their collectors? For what? Don't be naive. But murder is written in a way that makes it almost impossible for a cop to be charged. And that's because the nature of their work. That if they have to chase people around and their life is constantly in danger because they're constantly, trying to deprive someone of their liberty, or they're dealing with the people who are dangerous. Like all these people that the police deal with on a daily basis. I'm not saying the police don't deal with some people who are pieces of trash, just like this cop. They are. They are. So, but because of the nature of their work, you'll never prove or you almost never prove that they murdered somebody, because how are you going to prove the motive of premeditation? They could always say, well, I didn't intend to do it. I was just following A, B, and C. That's how it works. So, I'm going to take a drink real quick, because that concludes the part about the charges being dropped. Now I want to talk about the looting, because after the charges were dropped, the word gets out, and then there was looting that went on throughout the city later that night. So Tuesday night, after the charges are dropped, we had looting, and it was basically an open secret on social media. It all came out on social media. I saw one of the tweets said, when we go in shopping in big letters. So obviously they're talking about looting. There are many videos. I'll talk about some of these videos. Let's go one thing at a time. Social media. Social media is a genius way to control the behavior of young people. Because, young people, if a government or an organization told them to act a certain way or behave a certain way, they wouldn't. They wouldn't do it, because the young people still have the spirit. It hasn't been broken yet. They have the freedom and the spirit of rebellion in them. So they wouldn't do whatever they tell them. But they do it through social media. They will, because what the young people will do is they'll do what their peers that they look up to, that their peers that they look up to do something, they'll do it. And that's what social media is. And again, that's subtle influence. Through subtle influence, you make these few people that are the influencers do something, and then you've got them all. It's a way to control the young people. Another tweet I saw is, somebody said, I know it's wrong, but it's the only way they hear us, as like a justification of the looting. And I get it, if I was when I was younger, and I was over there with those people, very possible I'd be out there vandalizing property, or I'd be doing the same, because it's such an injustice. When you don't have the knowledge to back it up, you're gonna lash out. So some of these people, I understand that spirit. I'll turn off a lot of people just by saying that. And it's just, see, this is why I'm different. This is why this is the most hardcore news show, because I just come from a different environment. So I relate to these people a lot, actually, that are looting. So that makes me a lot different from some of my audience, right? But I tell the truth. So I'm going to tell the truth on both sides. So, well, as to that justification of, I know it's wrong, but it's the only way they hear us. And it's this us again. Us is just we again. We got we again. It's the only way they hear us. They don't, and us, hearing us, you looting is not creating any change. And it doesn't matter if they hear you. Because what does it mean they hear us? It's just like that corporate solution to public outrage. They'll just rebrand themselves. They'll just launch a public relations campaign, and then what are you gonna say? Oh, they heard us. Now things are better. Things are not gonna get better. And these large gatherings of people in an emotional venting are very easy to manage. It's very easy to manage a large gathering of people like this to a particular police response, or even before the police response. These people in big mobs are actually very easy to control, because you throw some tear gas, you send some cops out there with riot shields, and these seemingly aggressive people, it's going to turn out they're actually quite tame. And this is the truth. There are a few loose cannons, loose screws among those people, but they're really soft people that are doing the looting. And this is you could look at the videos and see they're soft too.
Oh my mom is happening. Oh my God, mama. Oh my God. real. Got one. Got one. Got one. Got one. Free iPhones. Free iPhones. Free iPhones. Look, security running.
Oh shit, what's up?
Yeah, man.
Yo, listen.
Man. We good now, your son doing fine. You can chill in the hood now. Keep your feet up. I'm about to run me some good now. Yo, what's that sound? What's that sound? What's that sound?
That's the
Oh shoot, everybody throwing free iPhones. Let me see the iPhone. Oh my god, I want that. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Oh my god, no iPad too. They check the iPad too. They check. Oh my god. Oh my god.
phones, bro, I gotta break it. That's what they tracking us, bro.
Oh, this is crazy. Oh my god, this is crazy.
But you know what? Seeing that, seeing them looting, seeing people breaking windows, seeing people. When this happened in Chicago, you see the people with their Gucci belts and their iPhones. And you know what this does is it keeps the racists in line. Any time they were thinking about maybe breaking their programming a little and feeling compassionate, actually seeing a black man shot in the street or a Puerto Rican man shot in the street and actually feeling some compassion towards them as a human being. Any time they even thought about that, you have an event like this that is gonna remind them, no, remember, I'm on the police's side because look at how these people act. That's what they're thinking. This is the dialectic. Society sees looting and they automatically side with the police. This is the dialectic. These are classic dialectical socialist, like communist techniques. And you could say this because these lootings, they were coordinated. They were chaotic, but they were coordinated. They met at the same places. They traveled from different locations, and they've tracked them. There are people from different locations that all came to the same locations, and they gathered. And there were a lot of opportunists. Sure, there were many people who just wanted free stuff, and that also helps the ruling class. That helps the agenda, right? But let's not underestimate how coordinated this was, and how you can coordinate an action like this through social media. I mentioned there are videos. Yeah, there are videos. They're kind of, one I saw was pretty ridiculous. It shows, just this purging of chaotic energy, people scrambling in the iPhone store. It's embarrassing for me to even say it this way because I got a lot of respect for these communities. I got a lot of compassion for these communities. But to see people acting like this, it's ridiculous. But like I mentioned, I understand because this is what living in an environment that doesn't respect you does to you. And you're living in a place where you see some people are valued, some people are respected, but you're not. You're treated like trash. You were told that you're nothing and that you were worse than, or you were not good enough from the beginning, from when you were young. And then you see something like this happen, and then you go, what? You go loot and vandalize a symbol of societal respect, the iPhone, the designer coats. It's actually not as dumb and ignorant as people say it is. It makes sense. This is a way to lash out when society doesn't respect you. It actually makes sense why they do this. And I caught a glimpse of, what would have been, the iPhones, they have a security mechanism where when the iPhone is stolen, it's being tracked. It can't be used. It'll just be tracked. So when this group of people, they stole these iPhones, they saw that this is what it was. They started smashing the iPhones. They started throwing them on the floor because they were useless and they were endangering their freedom because the cops were tracking them, right? And they started smashing the phones. And I thought about that wow, this is actually an honorable act to smash them. And I wish that's what they would have done. Not stole them, just smashed them outside of the store. And this is what the people should do. Not steal and use the devices they give us. Take them and smash them and use that as a statement to expose their lies. An iPhone's supposed to be a communication device, right? The Apple logo is the apple with the bite that represents the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? From Adam and Eve. So it's supposed to represent what? Occult knowledge, right? So smash those items and look at that communications device broken to talk about the lack of communication. Reframe that we demand and talk about I will not stand for this. I will not stand for this. I will not use your devices. Your devices are smashed, and draw attention to the camera on the back of the iPhone. The camera is what even got the truth about this out, because of the camera. Yes, it's about surveillance. Yes, we don't like the cameras everywhere, but you having that camera, the camera just represents the eye. It represents what you are able to see and perceive. So with the camera, we film the police, right? That camera represents truth. And we need to smash it to show how they are corrupt. How they have corrupted communication. They're censoring communication. They're running from the truth. Smash their $1,000 iPhones. Right? Don't beg them to make them $200. Smash their shit. Say we got our own shit. And we'll use anything they give us against them. That's the way to do it, right? That kind of vandalism without theft would have to be taken seriously. That's actually a strong act. Because it is true that the justice system is crooked and in bed with the cops and then with the corporations. The same corporations that, poison the ghetto. Right? They poison these corporations to a degree, have created all of the shit that's happening on Kensington Avenue. This is true, right? Corporations are the problem. What people call capitalism, is a big problem because they're aligned with government. Not because people who want to start their own business shouldn't be able to. They are able to. You know what? Because they're the people saying, I will. They're not saying we demand, they're saying I will. And we need a whole world of people saying I will. And then there won't be homeless people on Kensington Avenue. They'll all have enough. Everyone will be taken care of. Not because we demand or we need to help the homeless. Everybody says I will, and everybody who can, who is able, builds themselves up, and we will have more than enough for everybody. And we get rid of these parasites in government who are saying they need you, we need your vote. Go vote. We demand. They demand too. But that would be a nice little act of vandalism. But theft, no. Any theft, even the slightest, is a step towards slavery. That's the truth. You know, the store owners really, and now I understand the looters, right? But I also understand the store owners. And the people in the stores, if they were allowed to shoot any thieves, the world would be a much better place. And that's just a fact. So, like I said, I'm going to tell the truth on both sides. But this kind of coordinated looting, it is a mechanism to implement communism, as I said. You know, on a day-to-day basis, people in the ghetto, they cannot coordinate on anything. People in the hood can't agree on anything. And now, all of a sudden, they make these, big protests, these big events that, very effectively converge on a certain location, carry out a plan, and get moving. Come on, there's influence here. There's outer influence here. And social media is easily used to, through subtle influence, get people, especially young people, to participate in mass movements. And this has happened in other states as well. I talked about it on a previous show. It was called the Teen Takeover in Chicago. They call them flash mobs. You have a bunch of people run through, smash stuff, break stuff, steal stuff. They don't just come up with this. You don't have just one person come up with this. It's subtle influence, and this is what social media does, right? So all of this, what is the response that it creates? It creates a lack of faith in private enterprise, a lack of respect for private property, a lack of personal responsibility, and then in response you got racism, because people are seeing what the looters are doing. So then what you get is alignment of the police, or a convergence with the police and government, with the working class, the people who are actually getting exploited, the people who are paying the most parking tickets and have the worst boot on their neck. They see the looting and they see a different race acting a certain way, and that brings them closer to police because they're thinking, well, we don't want that chaos. We want to make sure our family is safe. So it creates this unnaturally natural alliance. It's a enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing. So all of this, lack of faith in private enterprise, because if your windows can get smashed over your business, then what's the point of starting a business? Lack of respect for private property. You know, you take somebody's stuff, you smash their stuff, then clearly there's no respect for property in the society, right? So it does that. Lack of personal responsibility, meaning you just do whatever. You just throw bricks. You just act like an animal, and you don't have to be responsible for your actions. Also, the cop that killed this man, he beat the case. He got his charges dropped. Lack of personal responsibility. All further and further and further division because people don't see the big picture, right? So after that happened, you had business closures. On Tuesday night is when the looting happened, and all liquor stores were closed on Wednesday following the looting. And this is another example of a panic or a hysteria generating event acting as a catalyst for centralization of power. Centralized power. How is it that the liquor stores all closed and not the Apple stores or the Lululemons that they were stealing from? How is it that the liquor stores were closed on Wednesday? Well, it's because of the Liquor Control Board, which is a organization that presides over all of the liquor stores, right? They're an arm of government. There is a central authority with the power to make such a decision, the Liquor Control Board. And events such as this, such as the looting, they will be the impetus, they will be the thing that breeds the creation of such boards and groups that will unify supply stores and food stores. You'll see this. Just like there's a Liquor Control Board, there are going to be control boards that are going to join all the Targets, all the mom and pop stores, all the grocery stores, as there's more looting and theft and shoplifting. Okay, the shoplifting is not an accident. People stealing the catalytic converters from cars is not an accident. Subtle influence is creating all of these societal cancers, driving that centralization of power. So when this happens, the people are going to keep stealing from stores. The people will basically be at the mercy of the state because they're going to have merged and intertwined with corporations. And then any threat of chaos will be held over the heads of the people to coerce them into submissions. That's the point. That's the end game here. And it came out, and this is completely unrelated to the events of Philadelphia, but it came out on Tuesday, actually, the same day as the charges against Mark Dial were dropped. On Tuesday, September 26, Target releases a statement on 9 store closures. So Target store closed 9 stores throughout the country, and this is their statement. At Target, we take the decision to close stores very seriously and only do so after taking meaningful steps to invest in the guest experience and improve business performance. With that said, we have made the difficult decision to close 9 Target stores across 4 states effective October 21st. In the state, we cannot continue operating these stores because theft and organized retail crime are threatening the safety of our team and guests and contributing to unsustainable business performance. We know that our stores serve an important role in their communities, but we can only be successful if the working and shopping environment is safe for all. So this comes out, they're closing stores, and like I said, this will bring in communism step by step, but they're moving slowly but quite surely. And that's what's going to happen. These businesses are going to have to close their stores. Now this is Target, so this is already a big corporation. This isn't a mom and pop store. But even the big corporations, the big franchises, they're going to start closing a couple stores, and that kind of uncertainty is going to heat up the atmosphere. It's going to heat up the kitchen to cook up some more controls, some more laws, some more regulations, or like I mentioned, it's going to create some type of board, some type of governance, some type of centralized oversight to implement some measures, some internal controls to bring down the looting. Right? This would be very effective if paired with an economic recession. Now, there's no signs of an economic recession coming, is there? Have you heard that? No, probably not. Gas prices went down a little bit. When gas prices go down, you should be concerned, because it means they're going to go up soon. When prices are going down, it's going to be fine for a little bit, maybe through Christmas time, and then it's going to get hit hard. I'm not saying that society is going to collapse, but this economic pressure is going to be used, and all of these events are going to be exploited and utilized to implement that control that they're working towards. Now, I hope you're seeing this. I'm talking about very many things all across the country, different aspects. They're all converging, right, on a single goal of more control, especially in the sense of prices, supply, food. This has been the theme of the last few years. But just to underline it, I'll say it once more. This looting and theft is a progression towards communism, because the conditions will be created where the only enterprise that is able to conduct business is one that is fused with government, and therefore aligned with all the agendas and has all the internal controls necessary. The digital currencies, the total surveillance, National Guard in the stores. This is what it's coming towards. Or self-checkout, or biometric scanning, where you have to be approved, social credit score. All this stuff has been talked about for years and years and decades. If you don't buy that, I'll say this in a different way. I'll say this to the people still listening, to my audience. The people in your family, in your life, who don't get this stuff about the UN, about Agenda 2030, about the injections, you tell them, wake the fuck up. You need to tell them like that. Fuck you. If you give them truth again and again and again, and they won't see it, and they're laughing at you, they think you're ridiculous, tell them, fuck you. You need to get your shit together. Say it like that. They need to wake the fuck up. I'm so tired of this disrespect in society. I'm so tired of being disrespected by people that don't know me and they think they know me. They hear me saying something and you're gonna point and laugh at me. Like, they won't do this literally because that would be a mistake. They want to point and laugh at me like I got something wrong. Like they think I'm gonna grow out of my current convictions because I'm young. Fuck you. These people have lived their whole life, haven't done shit, and we let them take the voice. Why? What do they have to have them run away with the world off a fucking cliff? Why? We know what's going on. We need to stand up. Not we demand. Not we want you guys to see. Fuck them. I will stand in the truth, and they will have to adjust. They will not stand the heat in this kitchen. So that's how I feel about that. And I'd like to end with a story. One of the stories that came out about all the events in Philadelphia is about a pharmacy that was looted, and they did an interview with the owner or the manager. I'm not sure if he's the owner of this pharmacy. I'd venture to say he isn't, but he's at least the manager. So I'll read from this article from the story. By Wednesday afternoon, there were few signs of unrest. Business owners had largely swept up broken glass and boarded up shattered windows. Like Nachum, manager of Patriot Pharmacy in North Philadelphia, which was broken into and vandalized on Tuesday night for the third time in recent years. After each break-in, the business upgraded its security, he said, including adding a high-end gate, a steel security door, and a heavy-duty safe. Still, he said, the robbers used bolt cutters to rip out the lock system and crack an external backup. With the gate now open, intruders took an axe to the acrylic windows inside the pharmacy and ran in. Police responded fairly quickly, he said, but the intruders got away with small amounts of Xanax, promethazine with codeine, and Valium. The damage and lost products, he said, would cost him anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000. They did not get into the safe, he said. Nachum tried to stay optimistic for the future and leaned on humor Wednesday. If he were to be looted 2 more times in the next year, he joked, we'd be 5 for 5. He said, I'm a little upset because this is my lifeblood, he said. But overall, my life is still okay. I'm still able to pay my employees. I'm still able to walk. No one shot me. I'm fine. That's what he said. That's just an excerpt from that story. 2 things I want to mention about that he said. The intruders got away with small amounts of Xanax, promethazine with codeine, and Valium. Are those valuable things that they stole from this pharmacy? No, they're not. They're poison. And the name of this pharmacy is Patriot Pharmacy. And it's only fitting. How patriotic is that? Is that helping the nation? Let's say we. Let's use the dreaded word we. Is that helping we, the people, the nation? Xanax, codeine, Valium. He's selling poison in this pharmacy. So on one hand, you could say that people were looting, people were stealing. But what did they even steal? Did they steal something valuable? Something that, you could actually, that you could feel bad for as a loss of property, something you could miss, something, hurtful? No, they stole poison. So what is this pharmacy really selling? And pharmacies in general, and these corporations in general, what are they really selling? They're selling poison to the community. And there's an image. It wouldn't be This Week in Tyranny without an occult breakdown. There's the image. I'll put it up of the front of this business, the storefront of this business, the Patriot Pharmacy. And the way they have it, the pill on their logo, they have split up the word Patriot. They have split up P-A-T, the first 3 letters, and they have on the other side, they have the letters R-I-O-T, Pat and Riot. And what the P-A-T, one side of the pill, this is really red pill and blue pill, but they're not using red on the pill because it's a pharmacy. Blue and white is a symbol of medicine. It wouldn't really make sense to put the red pill, but that's essentially what it is. Now, P-A-T, they have on one side. P-A-T refers to the paternal. P-A-T always means father. It means pater in Latin. Pater is the paternal, right? That's why they say patriarchy. P-A-T, Pat is the father, right? Patrick. This is the Latin dominus, right? Everything that has to do with P-A-T is about the father. And I talked about the father in the beginning and the racism and the daddy issues, and I'll go back to that. But then you have the letters R-I-O-T. In the blue, the blue pill, you have you could see it differently because you have white with the blue letters, or you have blue with white letters. So let's not confuse ourselves with the colors. But riot is what? Rioting, looting. A riot is an emotional outburst. What else is an emotional reaction outburst? Protesting, demanding change, like a childlike fit. We demand. That's riot. That's the words riot. And you got riot on one side, and you got Pat on the other side. Pat is the people who are doing the pat downs, the cops. Yeah, that's your paternals, your patriarchy, the old school authoritarian enforcement class or enforcement system. And that's everyone in the world. Everyone in the world has either daddy issues or mommy issues. Now the PAT, the Pat part of Patriot, is the daddy issues. And that's all the people that look up to the father, the societal father, the dominant authority figure, the fatherland or the father god, the guaranteed order. And then you have riot, which is mommy issues. And mommy issues is all the people who want to be fed and nursed and taken care of. They want their wage provided, they want insurance, they want societal programs, they want unions, right? Guaranteed comfort. So you got on one side guaranteed order, and on the other side you got guaranteed comfort. And that's all in that symbol. Now whether that's on purpose, I don't know and I don't care, but that's what it means. So let me finish by saying real men don't seek a societal father figure. They don't have daddy issues. Real men are the father figure. You're supposed to have this within you. You don't look up to society to provide it for you. They are the creator of their life and their reality. So real men don't have daddy issues. And real men deal with their mommy issues. Like I have. Because this is what I carried out of my upbringing. Because most men do have mommy issues to some degree. And they have to deal with it like I have. And you process that, you face it, and you get over it. And then when you solve that, then you go get your woman. You go get your woman that will take care of you and comfort you. Not by looking around desperately trying to find one and attract one and lose your mind over one. How to make yourself, good enough to attract one. You find the woman by focusing on your craft and your creation and your passion. Yeah, so that's the solution. You have to put the daddy issues aside, deal with the mommy issues. Now, for the woman, it's slightly different. I'm not really going to go into that because I focus on the men. If you haven't noticed, they're very soft, they're pathetic. So I focus on the men because I got the blueprint. There's a blueprint out here. It's been occulted throughout history, but it's actually so simple. You're just supposed to treat yourself with self-respect. You're supposed to just be honest, and you're supposed to use your natural abilities and instincts to defend women and children, and create tight natural bonds with people that you like, and that's it. And don't let yourself get pushed around. And is that so hard? Does that take 43 episodes? Well, people try to beat around the bush because it's actually not that easy. You actually got to go deal with the mommy issues, and you actually got to get up off your ass and stop getting pushed around. Stop acting like a bitch all the goddamn time. He said at the end, I'm a little bit upset because this is my lifeblood, he said. But overall, my life is still okay. I'm still able to pay my employees. I'm still able to walk. No one shot me. I'm fine. Well, I'm not fine. I'm not fine living in this society where people don't respect me. They don't respect themselves. And everywhere I go, they got their hands on me. This society got its hands on me, and they got to get their hands off of me. So I'm not fine until that happens. I hope you're not fine either. But I'd like to thank you very much. I hope you find value in that show, and I'll see you next week on This Week in Tyranny.